Hi friends, I'm Chelsea and I'm here with my February TBR. I just look forward to making my TBR video every month. It's so fun to tell y'all what I'm looking forward to reading, and also I love watching these videos and seeing what y'all are reading. I just always get excited to film these videos. And this one should be fairly short because I already know most of the books I want to read, because some of them are buddy reads, some are book club reads, a little bit for Black History Month, and then some are new releases. But I will probably pick a couple from my TBR jar, so I'm just gonna go through different categories of what I'm planning to read. So I think I have like 3 buddy reads lined up. All of them are fantasy books, so I love that. And the first one is a book that was actually on my January TBR, which I didn't get to, but I saw Hannah from Hannah Loves Stories talking about this being on her winter TBR, and since I had not read it yet, I mentioned that maybe we could buddy read it in February. And then I also saw Daniela Raye's video, her February TBR, and this book showed up. So we are all going to buddy read it together, I think, on Fable. And the book is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. So I talked about this last month. It's kind of a cozy historical fantasy rival ornithologist. Sounds pretty quirky, whimsical, funny. I'm very excited to read this with Hannah and Daniela. Like I said, I'll probably just do like a buddy read on Fable where we can all just put in our thoughts as we read. And anyone else who wants to join, feel free to join us. So if you're interested in reading this book with us in February, I'm just going to have a Fable group for it. My Fable is linked in my channel bio. So yeah, feel free to join in, but we're excited to all read this book in February. The next one I have mentioned before. I think it's on my 25 in 2025, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I will be reading this with Shuba from Shuba Reads Books. Hello, Reshi. Haven't seen him in a while. So we are going to be reading this together in February. And I'm really excited for one reason, because I'm doing the Books and Lala Buzzwordathon. And for February, the title challenge is water words, which mist, that's water. And the cover challenge is a skyline, and you can see there's a skyline. So I am knocking that out for February with one book, which is kind of the ideal situation. But I'm also really excited because I can't wait to get into this series this year. I have the physical book, obviously. I also have the audiobook, and so I'm planning to kind of jump back and forth and really just immerse myself in this book and this world. For those of y'all who don't know, this is kind of a heist story, a very classic fantasy heist situation, and this says, "The mists rule the night. The Lord Ruler owns the world. Once a hero arose to save the world. He failed. Ever since, the world has been a wasteland of ash and mist controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind, and the determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of a Mistborn." I can't wait to read this with Shuba in February. And then the third one has not come out yet, and I also mentioned this in my 25 in 2025, and that is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. This is the third and final book in the Emily Wilde trilogy, which I have been loving, and I'm planning to buddy read this with Jessica from Jessica's Library Card. We both are just obsessed with the series and cannot wait to see how it ends. Hopefully we can get it from the library quickly after it comes out. I think it releases on February 11th, and so we will both eagerly be waiting for the book to show up through the library. So those are my buddy reads. I also have my in-person book club book, and I got this one from the library, and that is The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. This is a historical fiction. I have several of this author's books on my shelf, but I've never read anything from her, and I think this is her newest release. Yeah, this one came out last year, so it's pretty new, and I don't really know much about it. This is a haunting and powerful story of female friendships and secrets in a Washington, D.C. boarding house during the McCarthy era, which I know nothing about. And it's 1950. It takes place at the Briarwood House, which is an all-female boarding house in the heart of the nation's capital. There are secrets hiding behind white picket fences. We follow Grace March, who is a lovely, mysterious widow. She moves into the attic room and she draws her oddball collection of neighbors into unlikely friendship. So it seems like some friendship themes, some found family maybe, lots of different types of women who come together and become friends. It says, when a shocking act of violence tears the house apart, the Briar Club women must decide once and for all who who is the true enemy in their midst. I think we'll be learning about a part of history that I clearly don't know much about, so I always love that, and I'm excited to check out this author's writing for the first time. Okay, the next two are books that are continuing a fantasy series that I have been anticipating. Well, one of them for sure. This first one here, I just read the first book like a couple weeks ago and I loved it, so I want to just quickly get into the next book and not spend so much time in between series. You may know where this is going. I read An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir this month and I ended up really loving it. Very fun YA fantasy, bit of a dystopian feel inspired by the Roman Empire. I'll talk a lot more about it in my January wrap up, but I had a fun time, and so I picked up the second book, A Torch Against the Night, and I also think I'll have access to the audiobook, which I did for the first one. I was reading and listening and swapping back and forth. I think I'll do that for this second book, and I'm very curious to see where the series goes from here. It definitely ended kind of in an intense way, a bit of a cliffhanger. I'm just excited to keep following the journey of these characters. I really enjoyed them. It's just a really fast-paced, fun time. I'm excited to quickly jump into the second book in the series that I just started. And then the next one I mentioned in my January TBR. I have not read it yet. This is a book that everyone's talking about right now. I'm sure you can already guess what it is. That is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I think I'll have access to it on Everand, my audiobook app, on February 4th, so you better believe I will be starting it that day as soon as I can access it. I'm definitely curious to see how this third book goes. I thought it was going to be the last book in the series, but then I heard that she's writing like one or two more, which I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like when we just have a trilogy and it's done, but what can you do? So I definitely want to get in on the hype and weigh in along with everyone who is reading this book right now. So I'll definitely be listening to Onyx Storm in February. Something I should have mentioned, I'm not going to draw from my series jar this month because, as you can tell, I'm already continuing like 3 or 4 series that I've started. So I feel like that definitely will be making more progress in my goal to continue more series this year. So I'm not going to draw from the series jar. And then the last one here, so it is Black History Month in February, and I try to read diversely, as I mentioned, and also kind of follow some of the months throughout the year and read books according to whatever that month is. So for Black History Month, I have a little trifecta of books here, and I actually watched the newest video of And They Were Readers. I love their videos. I've talked about them before. They have such great recommendations, and these books showed up in their top books of 2024, and they were saying how they think reading these books together is just a great way to get perspective on the Black experience throughout history, not just in older times and not just modern day, but throughout the years. These are authors that I've really been wanting to check out. So I have a little stack here. They're all pretty short, so I'm kind of counting this as one book because they're all around 100, 150 pages. So the first one here is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And this is nonfiction. I think 2 of these are nonfiction and 1 is fiction. And I think he just has a lot of reflections on his own experience as a Black man, but also racism throughout history. What is it like to inhabit a Black body and find a way to live within it? And how can we all honestly reckon with this fraught history and free ourselves from its burden? So I think he's writing to his son, and that's kind of the format of the book. I've just heard amazing things, and I might pick up the audiobook for this one and for all of these, honestly. So this one is very small, but this is an author I've been wanting to check out for a while. So this is The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I think this is also nonfiction, and this is a slightly older one. It says it first appeared in 1963, and I think actually Ta-Nehisi Coates has definitely been inspired by James Baldwin, since James Baldwin was a very revolutionary author for his time, and so that makes sense why these are all really good to read together. This says, The Fire Next Time galvanized the nation and gave passionate voice to the emerging civil rights movement. At once a powerful evocation of James Baldwin's early life in Harlem and a disturbing examination of the consequences of racial injustice, The Fire Next Time is an intensely personal and provocative document. And this one also is in letter format. It's basically a classic at this point, so I cannot wait to read this. Then the third one, this is a collection of all of this author's fictional works, I think, but I'm just going to read one of her stories unless I really like it, and then I can read the others. But this is Passing by Nella Larson. I'd actually heard of this book before because I read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and it is a fictional story of 2 Black sisters, but one of them can pass as white, and so she kind of lives that life, but the other one is Black. So you see a very big divide between them, and I think parts of it were inspired by Passing, if I'm correct. I think Passing is this author's most popular work. And it says, it's a disturbing story about the unraveling lives of two childhood friends, one of whom turns her back on her past and marries a white bigot. That's all it says here. But again, I think all three of these books will just be a great way to enter into an experience that is outside of my own and just to participate in Black History Month. So I know that was a lot of talking about all the books I'm reading, but I think I'm going to just do 2 TBR jar prompts. I always love doing the prompts, but I don't want to overload myself because I have a pretty good stack here. So yeah, I'm just going to pick 2. We'll see what the jar gives me. So here's the first one. Gotta mix it up real good. Oh, I dropped one. Let's get that one. Okay, I think I've gotten this one before and it was kind of a hot mess, but kind of fun. So this is a random color generator. I think what I did was I just looked up a color online and then I pick a cover that matches that the best. So as usual, I'm going to Google random color generator, click the first result, see what it gives me. That's nice though. I feel like that might give me some freedom in what I pick, but also I may not have anything that matches. So here we are. I'm going to click generate random colors and see if it works. Oh, there we go. Ooh, that is very green. May green. Okay, it looks brighter on the camera. It is fairly green. And I'm going to have to take a second to look through my books. I'm not going to move this camera angle and take you on this hot mess journey. I'm just going to show you the book that I decide on. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I thought. I don't have a lot of green books, or at least none that really match this color, but I did find a couple and I don't know. I'm going to be thinking out loud here really quick, I guess. So unfortunately, one of them is a book that I put on my TBR this month and I still haven't read. I do want to read it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So it is yet again Anne of Avonlea. That matches pretty well, but I don't know if I want to force myself to put it on another TBR. Just wait to read it when I'm feeling it. And this one is one that I picked up fairly recently, and I do enjoy this author a lot. So it doesn't match super well when I'm looking at it though. It's a bit of a stretch, but it is very green. And then this one matches quite well, and I do love this author. So this is Britt Marie Was Here. It doesn't look super green, or at least the same color, but a little bit of it matches, and I think I'm just going to have to go with what matches the best. So I think I'm actually going to do Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. I don't really know much about this one. I know I have his other backlist book, the grandmother one, on my 2025 TBR, and not this one, but honestly I'd be happy to read any other book by him. I'll just read a quick little blurb. The author of A Man Called Uva returns with an irresistible novel about a woman who is hard to like but easy to love. So I think this is probably his second book. Britt Marie can't stand a mess, but that's exactly what her life has become, leaving behind an unfaithful husband and a lifetime of taking care of everyone else before herself. She moves to the backwater town of Borg for a job looking after a crumbling recreation center, the favorite hangout of the town's supremely untalented children's soccer team. Okay, so it seems like it's kind of a character study of this girl who is kind of socially awkward, not afraid to share her opinions, a little cranky, but we come to love her. Sounds a little bit like Man Called Uva, but with a woman as the main character. And it's another kind of small town story, which is what he does really well. So yeah, I think this will be fun, and it does match that green pretty well. Okay, one more, and maybe I should get like a romance because it's February, or like a mystery thriller, because I have a lot of fantasy and literary fiction. I'll be aiming for a romance or a thriller or something if I can. So this is my second prompt. Okay, I just got like 4 here. We'll just go with this one. This is Previously Started and Didn't Finish. Okay, I can think of a couple. I actually did previously start The Beautiful Ones a long time ago and just wasn't in the mood, I don't think. This could be an option. It is kind of a romance. I think it's more of like a Regency Regency era romance type thing, but it also has some magical realism fantasy elements. So this actually could be a previously started but didn't finish. I also previously started The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, but I'm reading another book by that author this month, so probably not. Let me look on my Goodreads. I think I have like a get back to it later or DNF tab or whatever you want to call it. Okay, yeah, it says setting aside for later, Nettle and Bone. I'm kind of interested in that one, not gonna lie. Okay, I have The Beautiful Ones, I have The Wisteria Society. Nettle and Bone is kind of intriguing, although it's also a little bit fantasy-esque. I think we're between Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher or The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Let me see if I could get the audiobook, because I would probably like for one of these to be an audiobook. I think I'm just going to go with The Beautiful Ones since I have the physical copy, just in case I don't get access to the audiobook. Like I said, I think this is kind of just a high society, Regency era style, but the main character has telekinesis powers and she is referred to as a witch, and she is kind of a scandal in her community. A lot of people look down on her. And then an entertainer, Hector Ovray, arrives to town. She is dazzled. He is another telekinetic, and so they kind of connect over that, and he travels the world and he shows off his talents. He does not see her as a witch, but he tries to help her develop her skills, and I think a little romance forms. I just love this author. She has a lot of really unique books. I feel like every book and everything she writes is very different stylistically and genre-wise. This feels very different from Mexican Gothic, which I've read, and Velvet Was the Night. I think I've read others by her, but I can't remember. So I do want to read this one. I also have several library books that I just picked up. You might have seen that in my community post, and I would love to get to those. These are the other ones. We have Dreadful, The Teller of Small Fortunes, Alone with You in the Ether, and Bride. I would love to read all of these books. Of course, I only have them for a short amount of time, so who knows if I'll get to them or not. Clearly, I have quite the large TBR, and it's a short month, so who knows what'll happen, but these are my possibilities, you know? So let's do a quick little recap. So like I said, for a book that I previously started but didn't finish, I have The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. For a green, whatever shade of green that was, I picked Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. For my Black History Month reading, I have this little trifecta of books. We have Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and Passing by Nella Larson. We also have A Torch Against the Night. I don't know why I showed you the spine. A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir, continuing the Ember and the Ashes series. For my book club, we have The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. And for my buddy reads, we have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett, and Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. You think I would remember her name because it's been all over the place. And like I said, that is a lot of books, so who knows how many of these we'll get to. I'm doing pretty good on my January TBR, but the month is almost over and I haven't finished all of the books on my list, but I do have a little bit of carryover, so that will help for sure. Anyway, that is it from me. I would love to hear from you what books you're planning to read in February, if you've read any of these, if you want to join in on the buddy read of the Ornithologist one on Fable, or if you want to read any of these other ones together. I know there's a group of people reading Onyx Storm together, so let me know if you want to join in on that as well. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!